What's up, guys? It's happy hump day, happy Wednesday. I'm going to try and get some friends in here real quick. I especially want to get Caleb Painter in here because I have his Narwas today that is being deconstructed by myself. So I wanted to invite you guys to talk about hookahs and a few different things. So I'm going to invite some friends in here. We're going to get this going because I think it's important to understand the construction of semi-vintage Narwas. We can talk about that here in just a minute. What up, guys? Hey, I wanted to let you guys know that I deconstructed a Nawras today. It was Caleb's Nawras that he broke a down stem on, and I wanted to talk kind of about the different pieces and how they are deconstructed. So first off, I will start today with, kind of the stem piece. This is it deconstructed without the down stem inside of it. You can see this is where the tray goes, and then the bull port kind of screws on. So the tray goes on, and then the bull port goes in. I have the stem sitting over here. It's still a little too hot to handle. Wait a minute. Here's the actual down stem piece that I pulled out. So let's go over this a little bit. What we have here is a Narwas swirl, and I deconstructed it because Caleb had broken his down stem, and I'm in the middle of that process and kind of the tools for the trade. I just used a simple torch, a small torch, be in it, to desolder the joints. And we'll be putting this back together in another episode that I'll be doing here pretty soon. But I just kind of want to show you the pieces and parts. So what we have is the stem here. This is actually a piece that goes inside of here. Okay. So what happens is these down stems love to crack. And when you pull the tray off, there's going to be a bead of solder here, and there's going to be a bead of solder here. You need to heat them up and scrape the solder down. And then what you want to do is you want to heat this up really hot here and here without expanding the threads, and do a gentle tap, not necessarily with your hand while it's hot, but then this kind of slides out. So first step of deconstruction is, here we go. And I'm going to put this together for you guys again here real quick to show you kind of what happens. We all know that we can find some of these vintage pipes wherever on the internet, and sometimes they are required to be fixed. I can't quite fit that in there because whatever. So you have this down stem that sits in here, and what you're going to want to do is right here where these ports are, you're going to want to heat these up. And the way I do it is I just heat these up, I just heat them up real hot, and I tap them on a desk or a wood surface, and that gets most of the soldering off to a point to where you can pull them out. You also have to unsolder these right here, and then you can pull these tubes out. So you heat it up here at the top, and you're going to heat it up here at the bottom. You're going to scrape most of the kind of solder off, and then you're able to pull these pieces out as such. So you'll see that, me taking the hose port out, I have two solder joints, one at the base and one here. And then this unscrews from there. And there's a solder joint, obviously, here. This goes inside. So you can see the two different solder joints are a little silver here, which is inside the tube here, and then here at the base here. So then you could pull the down stem out You know, 9 times out of 10, we see that these are cracked here. I know by the history of this pipe, it wasn't cracked from when I gave it to him. But sometimes you need to replace a cracked downstem, so you can unsolder all of these pieces with a simple torch, and you can kind of fix the bottom of the heart. So the next steps I will go over with you in another live coming in the next few weeks will be how to replace that downstem, get it all nice, clean, and polished up in these pieces, and put her back together. So I just wanted to show you the deconstructed parts of a Nawras. It is the stem, obviously the bull port, the heart, the downstem, and the 2 port pieces, one being a purge and one being the actual hose port. So the next thing I will need to do is order the material to use to replace the downstem. So what I do is I'll just take out my trusty calipers here, clean them up, and the outer diameter is 0.48. 0.48, so that's what I will use for my sizing. And I will know that I can get away with, by measuring the inner diameter of this, that the inner diameter of this tubing is 0.49, and I could probably get to 0.50 if I cleaned up the downstem and the corrosion that's inside of it. So what I will do is I will probably just take a 1/2-inch reamer, honestly, and run it through this. That way I can replace the downstem with a 0.5-inch outer diameter pipe. Really, these are beautiful, beautiful Syrian-made pipes, and they deserve to be restored. You know, I tease Nick Moore all the time about his Chinese pipes, but you know, they really are a beautiful collection piece to add to your repertoire of pipes. But I would say don't shy away from buying something that is maybe got a cracked downstem or a broken downstem. Maybe you can get a good deal on it. You could take a $50 pipe and you can, you know, really put a little bit of love and a little bit of time out in the workshop to restore your pipes to original value. And of course, what is a live without smoking hookah with it at the same time? So maybe one of these days I can do a Regal breakdown with you to show you kind of how to restore those pieces. But until then, let me know if you have any questions on this live. I wanted to keep it like, you know, like under 15 minutes and not ramble. So that's what I'm trying to do. But I also want to show the, you know, these downstems are thin, guys. On these vintage style pipes, the downstems are thin. They will need to be, you know, replaced at some point or another. And, you know, you can do it at home. You don't have to hire somebody to do it. It's literally basic plumbing supply tools. And if you know how to do any plumbing soldering, you can always, you know, do your own work here. Really, desoldering isn't as an intense process as everybody makes it out to be. And then while you're, you know, cleaning things up, a lot of these older vintage Nawras had concaved hearts on the bottom. You can see, you know, this is hollow. So what I like to do when I do this type of thing is I like to take a Dremel tool, really clean up all the little areas, and then I'll take a wooden dowel, like a 3/8 wooden dowel, and I'll put it here through the top, and I'll lay this bottom piece on a flat surface, you know, put it on that flat surface, and I'll take the wooden dowel and I'll poke it through the hole in the top. So if this was a wooden dowel, I could take that wooden dowel, poke it through the top, put it on a flat surface, and really flatten out the bottom of this heart, which you'll see in the next step that I will do here live. But first, I got to get this all nice and cleaned up. Not going to be today, but look forward to it in about a week or so. This is an expensive Nawras that we're trying to salvage due to one of Caleb's negligent friends. So there it is. There's all the pieces deconstructed. This kind of fits through the middle. That is typically, your down stem and those pieces. So again, just to reiterate what I said before, you're going to have two joints here that you're going to want to unsolder. And what I do is I just get them really, really hot, and I tap them lightly on a wood surface. And I'll take like a scraper, and I will scrape the solder off of those areas while it's hot. Then what you're going to want to do is get this base hot right here and do the same thing. You're going to want to scrape the solder off of there. So these pipes are repairable. They are fixable, just like other KMs. You can resolder a lot of these pipes, and you can do it with simple tools at home. It doesn't require a whole lot of expertise. Really, you can go down and get the materials at any hardware store. Mr. Henley, you've done pipe soldering before, I'm sure, with your handyman experience. So I would say that it is on the level of difficulty, it's medium. So most people with common sense can do it. And if any of the ladies are watching it and really care that much about a pipe, make your husband do it, or your significant other, or find a friend. Guys, if you guys can't do it, let me know. I'm more willing to help you and guide you through the process. I know that another guy here has done this before, which is Tim Kritzler. He's repaired many pipes. So don't like to see them go to waste. Anything that any of you guys that are in here have any questions on regarding a deconstruction of these type of things, they're really, really simple to deconstruct. The hard part is cleaning them up to the point to where you want to repair them, and the time and effort involved in doing that cleanup can be intensive. As you can see, my hands are kind of black already by doing the desoldering, but they were really, really well-made pipes, and yeah, worth your time and effort. Pipe soldering is not difficult. Just know the flame on the torch is longer than the visible part. I agree. And what I like to do is when I heat a torch up, the hottest part of the torch is going to be this light blue flame area. So what I'll do is I will just, get that nice blue flame area into the solder and then just tap it on the table. So that way it just kind of comes off freely. And what you're going to end up with is a pile of stuff that looks like this. I got Caleb's Nawras sitting here in pieces. I want him to see it live. I haven't showed him any pictures yet, so I was trying to get him on. I got a down stem here. I got a purge piece here. I got a hose port here. The stem, the heart, and the actual copper down stem that runs through this thing. So what I was talking about is, just kind of some different tools. If you don't have a pair, these are a cheap pair of Harbor Freight calipers that you could pick up anywhere, really for like under 20 bucks. You'll see that they have a DRO on them, which is a digital readout. You can literally just check this real quick. and the diameter ranges from 0.47 to 0.49 on the downstem. And then what I do is I take these little guys right here and I put them on the inside, and that's what those are for. And I know by reading my digital readout, let's see if we can get this here. I'm going to rearrange it to the number I had it before. So if you look on the DRO, it tells you 0.49 in 45, 0.49 of an inch, which is almost a half an inch. So I know that a half-inch piece of copper pipe, OD, that is, outer diameter, will work. So what I'll do is I will just take this, I will clean all the corrosion off of it, I will get it polished up and clean. I will then, put the downstem back through, obviously, and the first piece that I'll solder back on is this. So, these vintage pipes, I've seen them at flea markets, I've seen KMs, I've seen old brass KMs, I've seen trimetals, and really it goes to show that anybody can smoke. Caleb, what do you think about your baby being in pieces right now so I can clean her up and fix her? So here's the deconstructed heart. As you can see, those are the two solder points here, and then the two solder points at the base that need to be pulled apart. Caleb, I'm kind of upset because this downstem did not even have any cracks in it. So this is the area where the bowl port goes, and there's no signs of horizontal cracks on the outside. The inside, you can see, here it is there. It's a little dirty from the work that I've done. But a lot of times what you'll see when you're looking down the downstem is you'll see a horizontal line that will run. So if you're looking at a Nawras pipe, what you want to do is you want to hold it up to the light, and what you'll get is you'll see really heavy horizontal lines through the piece. And those horizontal lines and the shimmer tend to indicate that there is a either stress fracture or a crack that runs down the inside of the pipe. So when you're looking at the Nawras and you're looking to buy one, I would definitely hold the entire stem up to the light, and I would look down it and turn it at the same time. You'll see those stress fractures. And even if you do see those stress fractures, you can always really just take it apart, kind of like what I've told you before here on the live, is you just basically start from the bottom of the heart, unsolder everything, lightly tap it against the surface to get, the solder out. Yes, I said Nawras. Lightly tap it to get a lot of the solder off the bottom. You can see kind of the splash effect that is used. So what I do is I heat it up, and I go to this side and I'll tap, and I'll get a lot of the solder off, and I'll heat it up again and I'll turn it 180 degrees and I'll tap, and you can see kind of the solder bleed down. As I was explaining before, what I like to do is take a wooden dowel and set this on a flat surface, and then I'll take that wooden dowel and put it into the top, and I'll lightly tap the bottom of the heart before I put this back together, because as you can see, let's see if I can get this out of here. Come on. So what they did with a lot of these hearts is, even though these were concave, They filled it with this like mineral wool type stuff that is really a pain in the dick. Sometimes it catches on fire when you're unsoldering it, but they used it to keep the solder from dripping in. So what I like to do is I like to try and almost repair that issue. And by repairing that issue, what I'll do is I like to get these really nice and flat, so that way when I'm soldering, I can heat everything up and then just drip the solder on, and the solder tends to fill those cracks. I will do a live on the resoldering section of this, but it's also a good learning opportunity for everybody, and a way for people to kind of fix those old pipes that people have neglected over the years. You guys have any questions for me? I was literally on a hangs like 2 minutes ago with Travis while I was doing this. So one thing I will note though is that after you take this apart, okay, what I like to do is get all of this solder cleaned up around here. So I'll heat it up even more. I'll scrape that solder off, and then I'll lightly sand everything from basically this bottom nut down. And then what that allows me is it allows me good adhesion of the solder when I am resoldering it. Have you guys ever seen a Nawras in so many pieces? I mean, purge, hose, heart, stem. It's really easy, guys. I don't want anybody to be intimidated by it. I'm not answering you, Travis, and I'm not replying to you, Mr. Vredenberg. Large Pringles can. My E-dick is huge, guys. E-dick is more important than actual dick. Just kidding. Hey, Rob, have you ever seen a Nawras in pieces? I know that you've probably encountered Tim Kritzler, and Tim has also taken these apart and fixed them. But what I was basically saying is it's really, really easy. The biggest thing you got to watch out is just to make sure that everything is desoldered. And, you know, even when you got this piece, you know, kind of still in there, another point that I will bring up really quickly is, let's see here. So when you're desoldering these pieces, you got a ton of solder around these joints. This is obviously the hose port. You can see that there's still a ton of solder here. Another thing that I will do is if the pieces are being slightly stubborn, what I'll do is I'll just heat them up really quickly, and I'll take something and I'll just tap on the bottom of this port, and typically it loosens it enough to where, you know, it comes out. I would never commit such crimes on such a vintage and true hookah cars. Some threads and magnets. As much as I would love to, you know, chop this bottom piece off, insert a solid piece, so you could have a screw and downstem top and bottom. However cool that may be, I would never do that just for sake of, you know, historical purposes on this pipe. And just as a point of reference, you know, these pieces are all hand bent to match the original. So when you do put them back together, there is a right side and a wrong side. You'll see that there's a larger side for the hose port and a smaller side for the purge. And when you're putting them in there, they kind of take a little bit of finesse and, you know, muscle memory of the places that they went. I know you would, Travis. Well, I love you all, and I hope you all have a good day. And let me know if you have any other questions on deconstructing a vintage, not really vintage, it's deconstructing Assyrian Nawras or Al Nawras. Yeah, I know. Travis has been planning on it for a year. Now that I do have it deconstructed, though, I can actually get some true measurements. Love y'all. See y'all. Have a good day. Take care.